Hello, nice to see you again, John.
Nice to see you.
Do you have any questions since our last meeting about your exams or anything?
Yeah.
Super. What I'd like to go over today is review what we found from those exams, go over our little x-rays, and then see how our care can relate to your goals and sort of outcomes. So, while we were doing your examinations, we found that certain things exacerbated pain and created pain, while others didn't. And so that kind of pointed me into a direction where to maybe start looking at our x-rays and to find sort of a diagnosis to what's going on. We came up with sort of two diagnoses for what could be creating your pain in your low back. We have something called a facet referral syndrome, and if we look at our little spine here, we have all these little places, and these are joints all the way up your spine. And we could be getting pain referring from our spine to that local area. Also, on the back of our spine, we have these little, what's called spinuses. And what we're seeing here in our x-ray, and if we look at this, that is exactly what that looks like right there, in a little flattened picture. What we have is we have enlarged spinuses, and they're creating a kissing spinous syndrome. And when they start encroaching on the area, they can start creating pain as well. So we have this sort of situation that can be exacerbated by extension, okay? And with a little bit of anterior pelvic tilt, it kind of encourages that extension automatically in this low back here. So the exercises that I gave you in your email will outline sort of things that we can work on and add to your yoga routine, other exercises, and things to do daily, because it's important to stay on top of this. It might help how the pelvic bowl arranges itself, and there's also going to be different adaptations to do to your yoga, really trying to stay away from lots of back bending and maybe focusing more on lower abdominal work. Okay? So anytime during this process, while we're talking about your care plan, it's important for me to make sure that everything makes sense to you, because this is your chance to take charge of your health. And it's important to me that you know what we're doing together, okay? So while we look here at the back, we can take that up to the cervical spine because the body is interconnected. And when we look at the cervical spine, the cervical spine should have sort of a C curve to it, kind of like this. And what we're seeing here is as it goes forward, it kind of goes straight up, and then it goes forward again. And the head doesn't quite sit right on top of the spine. And we'll start getting some of that tightness in the upper traps, maybe potential like tension headaches, things like that. And what we want to make sure is everything here in the spine is moving really nice as we turn our head, as it moves, because there's things that we just don't think about. With the style of care that I'm going to be introducing to you specializes right at this very top bone here. Now, why that bone is really important is there's information that goes to the brain and from the brain. And a lot of things will present as things coming from the brain. So certain muscles will appear weak or there'll be compensations. But that also could be symptomatic from information going to the brain. And so if this bone isn't sitting on top of the spine, between the spine and the top of the skull, boop, 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 this guy right here, maybe we have a little bit of compression in the cord, and maybe we're affecting how the fluid is flowing to and from the brain, how blood is flowing there. So we want to make sure that's working A-okay. Now, as we continue with this care is going to be called Blair. And we take very specific x-rays because a very specific bone that has a lot of neurological structures going through it should be treated really specifically. So we take very specific x-rays to deliver a very specific adjustment. And what we're going to do is we're going to monitor things like your low back and different muscles and how they're tight and how they're holding before and after the adjustment, and seeing how the adjustment affects that. But what I would really love to see with your care, and what we would love to see through chiropractic, is the reduction of that low back pain, so you can get back to things like exercise and not have discomfort while you're sitting in class. With this, our care plan is going to be 2 times a week. In that 2 times, I'm going to assess your spine, see if your upper cervical complex, this top spot on your neck, is holding, and we get to decide whether or not if an adjustment's appropriate. Sometimes we will be adjusting, but not all the time. And you know what? Not adjusting is also a good thing too. It means you're holding. And if we find that we're consecutively holding by the next assessment, that means maybe we can change it from 2 times a week to once a week. And then we see how that holds and see if you can consistently hold that. If that holds, that can space out. And as much as I really like to see you and you coming in frequently, my goal in care is to see you less and less and less. Now, by the next care and the next treatment, by the next time we do a reevaluation, by the next time we do a reevaluation, if things aren't changing, maybe I have to change how I look at your body, and maybe we'll have to assess other things. But I'm really curious as to how your body's going to respond with your head put on properly. Now, what we've done with your examinations is we've created this file, and we've created what we call a narrative. And your narrative is your health story. And there's a lot of words and a lot of things in here. But if you know what Cole's notes are, kind of like to Shakespeare, we have Shakespeare and then the summarization of Shakespeare, we have this summary of our care. We have the style that we're going to be taking care of you with. We have our active care and passive care, so things you can, things I get to do to you and things that you get to do on your own, like the things that I've handed to you. We get to talk about our frequency that we're going to do here, as well as sort of the things that we might tweak in your diet and little regular life. Because as much as I'm here to help you, it's a two-way street. And you have to be able to contribute to your health as well. And if we're contributing together, then we can possibly start seeing each other less. So, from here, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going and getting the doctor that's going to be observing and technically your doctor and the license that this is being practiced under. She's going to be going over, it's called informed consent. And she's going to explain the benefits and potential risks of chiropractic. And really, the risks of chiropractic are very far and few between, but it's just making sure you're aware of them. Does that sound like a plan?
Sure.
Super. Are there any questions or anything that I've discussed that you'd like to know more about? Fantastic. Well, I'll be right back, and I'm super excited to work more with you. Great. Thank you very much.